Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to 50 US state facts that sound fake but aren't. I'm going to split this into two parts because I don't know what it is. I feel really tired today, so I don't think I can get through 34 minutes in one go, but I'll do it in two sittings. And yeah, I don't know what it is. I feel so exhausted. I got like 7 hours sleep, so it's not like terrible, but yeah, I'm feeling it today. So, I mean, I probably would have split it up into two videos anyway, but yeah, we do love a fact video. I always say this. I just find them pretty cool to do. And this one, like this SAR one, is my favorite because it's like a fact. I'm assuming a fact for each US state. So yeah, we're gonna jump into this. Hopefully, going to enjoy. Hopefully, you're all doing well. Links are also in the description to my Patreon where you can see reactions that I can't post to YouTube. I am still planning to do my reactions to The Godfather today, the first film, but I do feel tired, so I have to do it a bit later. But yeah, the Patreon has many movie reactions from the past, many coming in the future. It's all down to suggestions, etc. And that's pretty much it. Let's jump into this reaction and see how fake these facts really seem.
The US is an enormous place, and today we're going to break it down by bringing you one amazing fact about each state. Starting off with Alabama. Though space travel is more often associated with Cape Canaveral, Florida, or the Space Center in Houston, the real rocket capital of the country is Huntsville, Alabama. The rocket that put man on the moon for the first time was developed and tested at the Marshall Space Flight Center, or MSFC. Today, you can visit the US Space and Rocket Center to get a glimpse into the city's space travel history. Alaska. Alaska has more glaciers than the entire rest of the inhabited world. Over 100,000 of them cover the US's northernmost state, and 25% of them, covering around 4.6 million acres, are found within Alaska's many national parks.
Jesus.
Since glaciers require lots of snowfall and cool summers to form, Alaska provides perfect conditions.
But the fact that like, Canada's next to it, you've obviously got like Russia and stuff, Greenland. It's mad how it's just like Alaska's just got so many, it outdoes all of them, plus the rest of the world.
Parts of the state, like Harding Icefield, receive around 60 feet or 19 meters of snow per year. The biggest is the Malaspina Glacier, which measures 850 square miles or 2,200 square kilometers and spans 60 miles or 97 kilometers across. Arizona. Arizona is the state with the most sky islands. These aren't some futuristic floating isles. A sky island is an isolated mountain area that has such steep elevation changes from the valleys below it. That means it creates a totally different ecosystem on the mountain itself. These areas are found in northwestern Mexico, Arizona, and New Mexico, but Arizona has over 40 sky islands within its borders, with more plant diversity than any other area in the country. Some mountains are more than 6,000 feet or 1,800 meters above the desert floor, a place that's generally inhospitable to most plants and animals. This makes the mountains themselves a much better refuge for all kinds of species. Arkansas. The US's only active diamond mine is located in Arkansas. And if you'd like, you can even go searching for diamonds there yourself. 150,000 to 170,000 people visit the Crater of Diamonds State Park every year, hoping to find a diamond and pay off a trip to the supermarket. Visitors find more than 600 diamonds every year. The biggest diamond ever found in the US was discovered at the Crater of Diamonds. Nicknamed Uncle Sam, it was a massive 40.2 carat gem unearthed back in 1924.
How much would that be worth nowadays?
Imagine the kind of ring that would make. California.
I wish I got that information, man.
It's a testament to the state's extreme geographic diversity that California has both the highest and lowest points in the continental US within its borders. Better yet, they're only 85 miles or 137 kilometers apart, so you could theoretically visit both in one day. Badwater Basin, the lowest point of scorching hot Death Valley, is 282 feet or 86 meters below sea level. While just a couple of hours drive southeast of it, you'll find Mount Whitney, the tallest mountain in the contiguous United States, towering up to 14,500 feet or 4,400 meters above sea level.
We know that one.
Colorado is not, as the map would suggest, a square. In fact, this angular-looking state actually has 697 sides. We looked it up, and that makes it a hexahectaenneacontici heptagon.
How is that
Bet you didn't learn that.
a name for that shape.
That one in elementary school. That's because even though Colorado's borders are technically drawn across the 102nd and 109th meridians, as well as the 41st and 37th parallels, they were drawn in the late 1800s with the incredibly basic tools surveyors used at the time. Not to mention, drawing borders on the meridians on the curved, slightly squashed Earth's surface doesn't always mean they come out even. Connecticut. One of the largest dinosaur track sites in the world is in Connecticut. The Dinosaur State Park contains a 200-million-year-old fossil trackway, as well as a museum explaining the finds. In fact, the first dinosaur tracks ever found in the country were discovered in 1802 in the Connecticut River Valley, even though the actual site was just across the border in South Hadley, Massachusetts. But from that day on, the valley has attracted paleontologists from all over the country in search of tracks much like the 750 footprints from the Jurassic period left in Dinosaur State Park. Delaware. Delaware has more
how fossils do that, like, from years and years ago, and it's still just there.
Corporate entities than
the
people.
Footprints.
With a population of 1.05 million people, the state has over 2 million registered business entities. So why is everyone rushing to register in Delaware? The state has a very business-friendly legal framework. There's no minimum bank account requirement for a company to operate. Also, business owners don't need to list their names when filing their initial papers to start a business, keeping the company private and names off the public record. And perhaps most importantly of all, there's no state income tax on businesses formed in Delaware that don't operate in Delaware. The business environment is so favorable that 67.8% of Fortune 500 companies are based in Delaware. And in 2022, 79% of all companies with an IPO are technically Delaware corporations. Florida. Though Florida may be better known for its beautiful beaches, the state is also famous for another water-related fact. Florida has the most freshwater springs not only in the country, but in the entire world. Geologists have identified over 600 to 1,000 springs, depending on the source, and 33 of them are relatively huge, with 65 million gallons or 246 million liters per day flowing through.
I would not have guessed Florida being the state with this kind of fact. I'll be honest.
Them. So why does Florida
It's such a swampy place? Or certain parts anyway. Yeah, why is this the case?
have so many? Underneath the state are layers of limestone and dolomite, which are easily penetrated and dissolved by rainwater, creating natural openings. When groundwater flows close to the surface, especially under pressure, it comes up through those same openings. Georgia. The biggest swamp in the country isn't the Florida Everglades. It's in southern Georgia. The Okefenokee, a Creek Indian name that means land of the trembling earth, is actually the largest swamp in North America, measuring 684 square miles, or just under 1,800 square kilometers. That means the entire city of Los Angeles could fit inside of it. This protected area is one of the largest intact freshwater areas in the world and is home to animals from amphibians.
Swamps are freshwater. I didn't know that. I don't even know what I'm talking about, to be honest. I would have assumed just swamps wouldn't be considered freshwater, but what am I talking? Isn't freshwater just like lakes and rivers and stuff? What am I? I told you I'm tired. What am I talking about?
To alligators and black bears. It's nicknamed Trembling Earth because there's a lot of peat in the soil, making it very difficult to walk on since it shifts underneath your feet. Hawaii. Hawaii is the longest island chain in the world, made up of 132 islands, though only 7 are inhabited. You probably already know that it's the only US state that's also an archipelago, but since most people only know the inhabited Hawaiian islands, Niihau, Lanai, Molokai, Kauai, Oahu, Maui, and Big Island, they don't know how far this chain actually stretches. From the southernmost Big Island to the northernmost Kuri Atoll, the chain stretches 1,500 miles or 2,400 kilometers across the Pacific Ocean.
My God.
Idaho. Though the Grand Canyon may be the most famous gorge in the country, it's not the deepest. That title goes to the appropriately named Hell's Canyon in Idaho. The Snake River carved out the continent's deepest river gorge over millions of years, causing it to dip 8,000 feet or 2,400 meters below Idaho's Seven Devils Mountains and over 1 mile beneath Oregon's West Rim. The canyon is located near the Oregon-Washington-Idaho border. There are no roads across Hell's Canyon. If you want to get across it, you have to hike. According to Backpacker magazine, the Oregon Rim to River Loop takes 4 to 6 days to cover 56 miles, 90 kilometers, and 6,000 feet or 1,800 meters of elevation gain and loss. Happy walking. Illinois. On November 28, 1895, James Frank Duryea made history by winning the United States' first ever automobile race. 6 vehicles, 4 cars and 2 motorcycles completed a 54-mile or 87-kilometer loop from Chicago to Evanston and back. And it was chaos. Drivers battled snowstorms, deep snowdrifts, muddy roads, and freezing 38-degree Fahrenheit or 4-degree centigrade temperatures. But Duryea pushed through, finishing in 10 hours and 23 minutes at an average speed of just 7 miles an hour. His reward was a gold medal and a share of the $5,000 prize pool, roughly $189,000 in today's money.
Good money then.
Indiana. Why is Indiana nicknamed the Crossroads of America? Besides its relatively central location, it may be because it has more miles of interstate per square mile than any other state. Indianapolis specifically is a major junction for a lot of interstates that connect major cities. I-65, I-69, I-70, and I-74 all run through the state capital. Some historians say that the Crossroads nickname comes from Highways 40 and 41. They were the ones that originally opened up the West to settlement and were made part of the original highway system in 1926. Iowa. Iowa is the only state that has its eastern and western borders formed by rivers, rather than randomly drawn on a map, as is the case with many other U.S. states. The Mississippi River runs down Iowa's east side, while the Missouri River runs down the west. The rivers have also been very important to Iowa's development as a state. Not only did they offer avenues for transportation and settlement, but they also helped develop Iowa's agriculture via irrigation. And farming is a big deal in Iowa, as the state supplies 10% of the entire U.S. food supply. Kansas.
Whoa.
Locals
I was about
may
to say,
joke.
like, Iowa's a state that I don't really think about anymore. I've not really done any videos looking at Iowa. I guess it's just all farmland, as we see there, which is obviously probably the most important, realistically, probably the most important thing in the US for a state to be doing. But that's crazy. They do over 10% of... What's 10%?
Big deal in Iowa, as the state supplies 10% of the entire
Damn.
U.S. food supply.
Fairs.
Kansas.
One
Locals
state doing
may
that is
joke
crazy.
about how the state is as flat as a pancake, but scientists decided to test the elevation of Kansas against a standard IHOP pancake. Using a digital model, they found that
That's a pretty cool place. You just got this little... Is this like a little league baseball stadium? In the middle of nowhere, pretty much. That's so cool. I mean, it's probably not in the middle of nowhere, but it looks like it is.
Kansas is actually flatter than the breakfast favorite, Kentucky.
I hate
the
that fact.
only
That fact is so stupid because obviously... like, what do you mean? It's flatter than the pancake. What are you talking about? It's a whole... I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. It just pisses me off. I've heard that one before, and it's just like, yeah, sure thing, buddy.
Town constructed entirely within a meteor crater is in Kentucky. If you drive to the over 10,000 person town of Middlesboro, Kentucky, you might not immediately notice you've descended into a crater, as the town and its surrounding vegetation has grown since then. But it does in fact sit in a 3.6 mile or nearly 6 kilometer wide impact site, though even the town's founders didn't initially know that when they built it in 1810. The crater site was discovered much later in 1966. However, the meteor may be the reason the town exists in the first place. Middlesboro was initially established as a coal and iron mining community. Scientists believe the impact from the crater is what brought coal and iron so close to the surface of the land to begin with. Louisiana.
The butterfly
The world's
effect. Is that even the butterfly effect? Probably not, but I'm going to say it is.
Longest bridge over water is Lake Pontchartrain.
Everything happens for a reason. That's what I'll say instead. What?
Causeway, just outside of New Orleans. The world's longest bridge over water is Lake Pontchartrain
I've
Causeway,
seen this
just
before, I'm
outside of
pretty
New
sure.
Orleans. The bridge is 24 miles or 39 kilometers long. In some parts, it's so far over the water that for a good 8 miles or 13 kilometers, you can't actually see land in any direction. This
What?
sometimes causes a problem for drivers. After driving for several minutes suspended over water without being able to see land, some people become anxious to the point where they can't continue crossing. More than once, police have had to escort drivers who have stopped in the middle of the bridge.
So you can't drive, so you just choose to stay on the bridge. What?
Particularly non-locals, to the other side. Maine.
What the
Maine
hell?
has a longer coastline than California. You can
What the
double check
fuck?
your map all you want. It's true. So how is that possible, considering Maine is only around 35,000
it's all the
square
little
miles
squiggles.
in area, and
how do you say it?
California is almost 164,000 square miles, and both states only have one side on the coast. Well, the answer lies in Maine's very craggy shores. All those tiny
Craggy's the
bays
word.
and inlets add a lot more distance to the specific coastline versus the general state coastline. Maine also has 3,166 offshore islands that contribute to its coastline measurements. So, when all is said and done, Maine has close to 3,500 miles or 5,600 kilometers of tidal shoreline, while California only has around 3,400 miles or 5,400 kilometers. Maryland. Though it may not seem like it at first glance, according to the Maryland Geological Survey, Maryland is the only state without a natural lake. Locals may wonder how that's possible, given the state has over 100 lakes within its borders, including 11.5 mile or 18.5 kilometer long Deep Creek Lake. At the end of the last ice age, when glaciers were retreating north all across the continent, they mostly missed Maryland. And most natural lakes today are the byproduct of glacial scouring across the continent. So today, every lake in Maryland is man-made, created via dams or reservoirs.
Damn.
Massachusetts. Massachusetts may be home to one of the longest-running and silliest border disputes of all time, which created what locals refer to as the Southwick Jog. If you look at the state's southern border, there's a small notch where Massachusetts juts into its otherwise straight boundary with Connecticut. The problem started way back in 1642. The surveyors establishing the boundary between the colonies put the western end too far south. Both colonies hired surveyors to correct this oversight, but the surveyors drew borders that made the colonies that hired them bigger. This went on for 60 years. Then, in 1713, residents of a few southern Massachusetts towns joined Connecticut to avoid high Massachusetts taxes, starting a dispute that went on for another 91 years. In 1804, when everyone was just too bored to tears to deal with it anymore, the two states agreed to split up the 2.5 square miles of land they were arguing about for the last 2 centuries, giving a little more to Massachusetts to make up for the loss of its former towns. Michigan. Michigan is the only state to have 2 peninsulas. The upper and lower peninsulas are entirely separated by other
That's
states
so-
and the Great Lakes.
Like, how does that even happen? I just don't understand how how this can be a thing. It's such a fascinating issue to have.
But did you know that the Upper Peninsula has tried to secede from Michigan multiple times? Michigan's Lower Peninsula is home to its biggest cities, including Detroit, most of its industry, and 97% of the state's 10 million population. This has made the Upper Peninsula, a mineral-rich area known for its scenic beauty, but also complete lack of industry and people, feel neglected at times. There have been several attempts at secession, including one of the most recent ones in 1962. The Upper Peninsula Independence Association was formed to establish the Upper Peninsula as a new state, Superior. Unfortunately, the group only got 20,000 petition signatures for a referendum,
Damn.
well short of what it needed. Minnesota. The only part of the contiguous U.S. that extends north of the 49th parallel, determined to be the northernmost border with Canada, is the northwest angle of Minnesota. Established because of a map-making error back during the Treaty of Paris in 1783, the border was supposed to cut through the Lake of the Woods at the 49th parallel, but the map of the lake used at the time was mostly a guess. In any case, it's created a weird situation where even though the northwest angle is part of the US, it's technically accessible only via Canada. Unless you want to cross the lake that separates it from the rest of Minnesota. Canadians who come down to fish have to stop at a shed near the border called Jim's Corner and present their passport via videophone to US immigration. It's such a forgotten corner that no one could be bothered to put a real-life border patrolman there. Mississippi. The Gulf Coast of Mississippi is home to the longest man-made beach in the world, running 26 miles or 42 kilometers from
26-mile man-made beach.
Biloxi to Henderson Point on the southern coast of the state. It was originally built for the purpose of controlling erosion, thus protecting the communities that lay further inland. Thanks to Public Law 727 passed in 1946, plenty of seawalls, really important structures along the hurricane-prone Gulf, were built along the Mississippi coast. The artificial beach was put in place to protect the seawalls themselves. Workers raised the coast to increase the area's protection from storms. Missouri. Did you know Missouri is known as the Cave State? Though you may have heard the more common nickname Show Me State instead, apparently what Missouri wants to show you is between 6,400 and 7,500 known caves within its borders. Caves easily form in Missouri because a lot of the state lies on limestone or dolomite. The water seeping through forms big openings over time, eventually developing small caves and even entire cave systems. Montana.
Well, as someone who doesn't like caves, I will not be going to them. Yeah, this is the first part of the video. To be fair, there's some facts I haven't heard in this one. There's some that I feel like get repeated in every single video, like the Minnesota one, that tiny little place connected to Canada, as well as there's one more. Where is it? Oh yeah, the California one, the lowest and the highest points in America. I know that one, but to be fair, there's quite a few that I haven't seen. And look, I'll split this into 2 videos. I feel so tired. But I don't drink caffeine, so I can't use it, but I just don't want to drink caffeine, so I'm just gonna have to firm it. Just get on with my day. It's not even late. It's only like 12:40. Bloody hell. Yeah. But that's the reaction to part 1. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we will get back to part 2 probably tomorrow. By the time you see this for tomorrow, but I'll probably just react to it later. But that's pretty much it. Until next time, like, subscribe, and peace.